This is Punchline, and we are First News Nation. On Punchline, we discuss national politics, and today is nothing different. It's about the national debt. I am Sammy Ajufo. Don't forget to like and subscribe to all our social media handles, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, as well as YouTube. You take a step further. Enable notifications by clicking the bell on any of these platforms so you can get latest updates on all our shows. Don't forget we are at First News Nation. Once again, I'm Sammy Ajufo. Thanks for joining us. Let's take a very short break. Be right back. You're welcome back. It's still Punchline. We're talking about the national debt. Recent stories making headlines in the National Assembly says the House of Representatives, with few weeks to exit their tenures in office, have approved the federal government request to borrow over $973 million from the China Development Bank. $973 million from the China Development Bank. The China Development Bank is different from the China Exim Bank, who had actually declined an offer to loan Nigeria about $22 billion. $22 billion. The China Exim Bank had decided, look, we're not going to borrow Nigeria any money of that sort because we have been owing China for a long time. However, Nigeria has moved over from the China Exim Bank to the China Development Bank. This time they're asking for $973 million US. Now, according to the federal government, this money is required to fund a construction of the Nigerian Railway Modernization Project, the Kaduna to Kano segment. So they were asking for $22 billion initially, and now they've settled for $973 million for just one segment between two states, Kaduna and Kano segment of the railway. And then the China Exim Bank decided to declined that request to loan Nigeria $22 billion US. Well, the federal government reduced that amount because the construction company CCECC is using another bank, which is the China Development Bank, to actually fund the project. So how did it fall from $22 billion to $973 million US for just two states in Nigeria? Something interesting I'm going to mention as we go down in this conversation. So there is actually an ongoing probe by the House of Representatives into the loan agreements undertaken by the federal government in recent times. It's actually the House of Representatives Committee on Rules and Business are taking this serious. They are going straight to ask the questions about the agreements Nigeria has made in the recent times, especially under the Buhari administration. And they've declared their findings from the probe, that the investigations they've been looking at. They say what they have discovered are, in quote, dangerous clauses in the loan agreement signed between the federal government and China. Dangerous clauses. That's what they said. Former Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, who ran for presidency and lost under the platform of the APC, said in a recent interview that this was the case why China was refusing to grant more loans into Nigeria, because there was actually a probe. That's what the the former Minister of Transportation said. He said China is worried that whether Nigeria can actually pay this loan back when the National Assembly is questioning the terms of agreement. That is what was preventing the Ibadan-Kano railway line. Yes, that's what he said. He said China was worried that you're trying to borrow money from us. How are we sure you can pay back if your own National Assembly is probing the terms of agreement? And the question I have, shouldn't they have asked questions? Shouldn't they have, made investigations into this? So that's why the China Exim Bank is refusing to give loans to Nigeria, and therefore Nigeria is now moving to another bank, the China Development Bank, to ask for $973 million US, down from $22 billion US. Okay. Meanwhile, let's just remind you before we go that The global cost for the construction of the Lagos Blue Line is $1.7 billion. Yes, and just between Kano and Kaduna rail line, Nigeria was trying to borrow $22 billion. One state, $1.17 billion, Lagos Blue Line, but between Kaduna and Kano, $22 billion is now dropped to $973 billion. Everyone needs to be worried. I'm worried about what is actually in these loan agreements, why we have to borrow so much for the construction of these rail lines, even when you consider that the insecurity issues, talk about the insecurity between Kano and Abuja, where we've had series of, if it's not kidnappings, it's attacks, sometimes the train derails, and we're still talking about that. We need to prove this, and that's why the China Exim Bank has said, we are not giving you $22 billion. And since you don't want that, Nigeria hopped on to another bank from the same People's Republic of China. There needs to be more questions than answers. And yes, the House of Representatives is right to probe this. If Rotimi Amechi, former governor of Rivers State, is saying this is the reason why, and he was actually thanking the Senate President and the Speaker of the House of Representatives for cautioning the Senate, the chairman of the House Committee on rules and business for poking his nose into these loan agreements. Is China hiding something? Or definitely, Nigeria most likely be hiding something. Let's check out these conversations. If you have comments about that, drop that in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to all our social media handles, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, as well as YouTube on First News Nation. Enable notifications by clicking that bell so you could get latest updates every time we have a new episode. I am Sammy Ajufo. Thanks for watching and stay safe.